Hello and welcome to Unacademy. I welcome you all to this session. There's a very important update for you. As you know, the notification was released today. And in the process of filling the notification, we have noticed that there is a new process which has been introduced. With regards to the form itself, nothing has changed, but the way to reach the form has been changed. So there is a new interface for OTR, and at the same point of time where we had two steps which it remained the same as a concept, as a core concept. However, now there are not just two steps, but four steps. So previously you need to do OTR, then part one, then part two. Now OTR has multiple layers, and thereafter you also have been given one more part, which is part three, which is DAF. Basically, the concept is that they have introduced a lot of elements and lot of information which you used to provide once you cleared the prelims examination. So basically DAF 2, 3 and 1, that whole concept has now been introduced within the concept of OTR itself, and therefore OTR has now become a one-stop solution as UPSC wants to create a better repository of the candidates itself. So with regards to how OTR has to be reached, the same process has to be followed, which is you go on to the UPSC website, you go into apply online, and you'll be greeted with this concept. This is something which I also talked about in the session where we talked about form filling. That stands, but this is an update because we are the one-stop solution for you. Any form of new update or any form of new change which could have been talked about, we will discuss it here. Once you are going to click the concept of new registration, one thing which is to be noted, you are a new candidate or you are doing it after a year. Now everybody is at the same point. The difference being the new candidate would have to give the personal information, basic details, which was captured previously or last year. Now for a candidate who basically logs in through the email ID or the OTP and password, which is provided either through the email ID, mobile number or OTR ID, the basic information is captured, which was captured last year. However, now there are multiple layers. Now, what are these layers? If you are a new candidate, new registration. If you're an old candidate, login, and both will be now redirected to the same page with this new interface, wherein we previously only had personal information here. Now it is personal information, address information, photo and sign upload, educational information, documents upload, parental information, employment information, UPSC exam information, achievement, prizes, medals and others. Basically, most of this was asked after prelims under DAF, but now have been integrated into the OTR portal itself. You have new options here also, wherein you have dashboard, which you are in as of right now in this window itself. Thereafter, you have the latest DAF, which is any form of new notification, in latest notification and latest DAF. Further, you have application history also. Now you will be able to see what was the application to different examinations previously under UPSC itself, and you can also edit the OTR here. That option has also been given. Now, this has a very interesting line, and the line is part 1 OTR profile completion, part 2 application form, part 3 DAF, part 4 fees, photograph, signature, examination center selection. Basically what they've done is they've split up the part 1 and part 2 previously into two parts. Part 1 has now become OTR plus application form, and part 2 has become DAF plus what we call as fees. So therefore, in the core concept, it remains the same. If you have an understanding of that previously, it's just that they've split up and made it more elaborate. These are the layers I'm talking about. They've added multiple layers to the OTR and they've added multiple layers to the application form itself. Now let's talk about each of these. Because there is document upload, I want to show you this before you go into and fill this form. And therefore, with regards to if you had already filled up the OTR, above this, you will have basic OTR information, name, father's name, your gender, thereafter the concept of the date of birth and the mobile number and email ID. But now they also want citizenship, marital status, place of birth, community. Basically, what used to be asked in the application form is now being asked here along with mother tongue. so as to basically auto-populate the application form more quickly. As these things don't really change for any examination, they've introduced it here. So you need to know all of this information. Asterisk means that it is mandatory. Thereafter, when you will go into address information, correspondence and permanent, same information which was asked in the part 1 of the old form itself is now being asked here. Thereafter, you have to go into photo and sign upload. Again, something which was done in part 2 being introduced here. Photograph and signature. Photograph, remember the 3/4 rule, and the name and date of clicking that image has to be added and uploaded. Thereafter, you will need to give educational information on the 10th class and equivalent. Only matriculation information has to be given. When did you pass? And the other aspects related to it, not something out of the box again. Then comes a very important set of documents for which they say if you don't give these documents, if these documents first 3 are not submitted, the complete application form will be rejected. This is where there are 3 things which have asterisks, so very important. Matriculation certificate, school leaving certificate, graduation pass certificate, mark sheet or equivalent educational qualification, the selected photo ID proof. Basically, again, this was asked in part 2 of the application form, now added as a layer into the OTR itself, and matriculation certificate for name and date of birth, and graduation certificate as proof of being eligible to give this examination. Now, in this case, if the 12th class certificate can also be uploaded if you are appearing. If you have passed it, you can push in your graduation pass certificate itself. If you don't have, under only for NDA 2025, 12th class pass certificate and mark sheet can be uploaded for NDA students. The idea is equivalent certificate under UGC can also be given. Students who do not have a graduation certificate will have to upload their mark sheet, which is your second year, third year. So for an NDA 1 2025 student, 12th class pass certificate and mark sheet is enough. On the other hand, if you do not have graduation pass certificate, then you put in your last mark sheet and you would have to mark appearing in the examination. Matriculation certificate everybody would have. Thereafter, the selected photo ID proof everybody would have. This is the issue. Graduation certificate, mark sheet or equivalent educational qualification, including a copy of recognition letter, evidence or equivalent certificate from UGC. Simple, straightforward. If you have it, upload it. If you don't have it, if you're an appearing student for last year, upload your last mark sheet, because that will give proof that you are in your third year. Thereafter, certificate in support of age relaxation for certain students who want that. Further, hailing certificate for candidates from Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, wherever it is applicable, and achievements in different fields, prizes if you want to push that as part of the last option which is there. Please note this is going to be very important. Scanned 1 MB file in PDF. Only PDF can be uploaded. So please do note this. This is a very important point I wanted to emphasize. For any student who has an issue here, graduation pass certificate / mark sheet, if you don't have it, you can easily put, because it's an asterisk marked option, you can push in the last mark sheet which you have. That will be proof that you are a appearing student in that regard. Thereafter, with regards to parental information, the what we call as address and other aspects of your father and mother have to be pushed. Then in employment, you can push in central government. For students who have no employment history, not employed or are not working, and thereafter other aspects related to that. And then UPSC exam information. Have you been ever debarred? Have you ever accepted allocation of service? Have you ever appeared in UPSC examination so far in previous years? This is where they're basically asking which examination, how many attempts you have given. Last but not the least, we have this, which is not a mandatory provision, but can be pushed, which is prizes, medals, sports, positions of distinction. This was all DAF-based understanding which has been introduced here. Last, they will ask you whether your family possesses any of these basic criteria, which you should take into account, because this will help them identify EWS and other aspects. And then language information has to be put in. If you have multiple language understanding, just click on add and keep on adding one more column. Now, what is peculiar about this whole concept is only when you complete part 1, which is the new part 1, which is OTR, only then you will be eligible to do part 2. Once part 2 is sorted, then you can go to part 3, and from part 3 you will go into part 4. So now it's a 4-step process rather than a 2-step process, and unless you do not reach to step number 4, you have not fully filled up the form. So do understand this point, that all steps have to be covered. What is interesting is most of the information of all these 3 steps have already been taken. This whole dashboard basically has already taken most of the information. What is going to be different is what you will see with regards to main center, the subjects, and the language, and the optional in that regard. So this is a major update with regards to how UPSC has changed the interface. The concept remains the same, the process remains the same, just the interface changes. So a OTR interface has been made more elaborate. There have been layers which have been added, and please do note that there is part 1, part 2, part 3 and part 4. This is an update I wanted to push once we started to understand the form better. That is why I have pushed this concept to you. So I hope that this session has been useful and you will use this information. Please do make sure that you have all of these scanned copies ready with regards to the documents. The 3 documents which are very important: matriculation certificate, graduation pass certificate, if not then your mark sheet, and last but not the least, the selected photo ID, be it Aadhaar card, voter ID, PAN card, passport, driving license, and over and above that your photograph and signature. So on this note, I'll try to wrap up this session. All the best. It's not complicated. It is a one-time process, little bit of more pain, but it is worth it because it will allow you to use this information. I hope you only have to use this information once in your life. You clear the examination in your first attempt and you don't have to give any other examination. Thank you so much. I will see you in another video. I hope this has been useful. Do like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Take care and bye-bye.